This is Drop Tent Media Network.
Hey, hold right there. Don't dare skip this. This is an important message. Me and my boy Albert Davis, we want to tell you about our podcast, Seriously Dad. Albert, why should they listen?
Because it's the best podcast in the world. It's by two comedians who are dads. And you know what we're talking about? Being dads. It's called Seriously Dad. Check us out on social media at Seriously Dad Podcast. And
anywhere you get your podcast, that's where we're at. We're funny. We got some great guests coming our way. We cover the topics you want to hear. Check us out.
Late Bloomers with comedians Karen Schwartz and Sandra Doss.
Hi.
Hello, Karen. How are you?
Good, Sandra. Good. I'm good. How are you?
Welcome, everybody, to the second episode of the Late Bloomers podcast, starring comedians Karen Schwartz.
Hello. And Sandra Doss.
Thank you so much, Sandra Doss, myself. So I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving holiday. How was your holiday, Karen?
It was really nice. It was really nice.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Did you eat a lot of turkey?
I did.
Did you cook it?
No, that was the best part.
Yeah.
That was the best part. I did not cook anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was an invited guest to join my neighbors. My family lives in different states. So my parents they were away on a cruise, and, my sister's in California. So this is a pretty low key holiday for me, where I just got to kind of crash a friend's house, and that was awesome.
Lovely.
Awesome.
Yeah. I was in North Carolina with my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law and her family, and my husband and my son and my dogs, and we had a great time.
Yeah.
It was really fun. And so no cooking here. Of course, nobody trusts me to cook any turkey. Yeah. No, that's dangerous.
No, I was demoted to cheese tray.
Yeah.
Many years ago, I was demoted to cheese tray,
Yeah.
and I haven't really been promoted since. So
we have so much in common, Karen.
There
I
we
didn't know, because I am also on cheese tray duty.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, they think I cut them really well, and I'm really good at labeling them. And they say that's,
you took it a level beyond.
that's
what
your
I've been
thing.
doing,
I
so.
got to dress it up. You got to do something.
Awesome. Labels.
You got to do something. Yeah, I'm not. The thing is that my husband cooks. He likes to cook. He's very talented. So his standards are very high when it comes to cooking.
Mm.
And so it's really not worth it. And, we decided to we went out. And so we had kind of surf and turf,
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Bird and shell situation. And it was great. Everybody had a wonderful time.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's awesome.
Yeah. So today we thought we would talk a bit about how we, or anybody that is in this world of comedy, minds daily life for comedic material. So you want to start? We can just kind of.
Oh my, yeah. I mean, there's one really big event that took place in my life this week that wound up getting written into my set, and it seems to be working.
That was funny. I was there,
and you were, and it actually the beginning of this story actually goes back to Neil, who I was on a 7 for 7 show with, and he told it was hysterical. He talked about I believe it was his mom.
Correct.
Who was spending time. She had become widowed, and she was spending time with a new person, a male friend. And not long later, she needed to have her hip replaced. So he had a joke about the fuck hip. And I was in tears laughing. It was one of the funniest things I've ever heard. What added to what made it funny was there was a woman who completely overreacted in the audience. And I think she clearly had been drinking too much, and her friends had the sense to get her out of there. But as they were having her leave, she leaned in at me and said, "He's an asshole." And she was just like, she was a complete disaster. And her friends were like, and then they got her out. And I was like, what just happened? You know what I mean? Because like he didn't say anything directly to antagonize her. It wasn't like, they had no interaction whatsoever. So the whole her reacting that way really made no sense to me. But I retold that story at work. And then it turns out that one of my closest friends at work, who's my work brother, we've worked together for 25 years and we've had a history of pranking one another. His dad passed away, which is horrible because I totally loved his dad. His dad was awesome. And this is my buddy, Steve Hall. And Steve's mother started spending time with another widower that she's been friends with for forever. And they've been spending a lot of time together. So I made the joke about the possibility that his mom may also require the fuck hip. And although he laughed really hard and he was in tears laughing, and I told him about Neil's joke and, and he thought it was really funny. When he stopped laughing, he said, "You're going to hell, Karen." Like he was like, "I can't believe you just said that." Like, so anyway, I knew he was going to get me back. And he did. I was walking into my building the other day and I'm just, walking in, minding my business, just thinking through my teaching day in my head. And as I'm walking past a darkened doorway of an empty room, or what I thought was an empty room, he jumps out, and he goes, "Caca!" And he just screams it. And, he's really tall and he's just flailing his arms as he does it. And I'm like, "Ah!" And my entire bladder emptied. I mean, it wasn't just a little pee. My brain was telling my body I could stop it. And I couldn't. Like, it just kept coming out. And I tried clenching. I was like, I must know how to know. It just kept coming out.
It's one of middle-aged women's biggest fears.
I mean, I've had babies, like, so, I know if I feel the sneeze, like I cross the leg or like, I do the things to prevent, I know not to jump up and down, all those things. But this was just a level of, it wasn't a leak. Like we're talking full emptying, like
whatever you had came
everything
out.
came out. And as it's happening, I'm holding the Wawa coffee cup and I'm like, "You did this." But anyway, it's all, and I'm just pissing everywhere. And he looked at me because he realized he could see it visibly through happening, and the change of his expression on his face. And I'm trying to clench and breathe and calm down my heart. I'm like, "I hate you." Like I'm just trying to like do all those things and like tell him I hate him. And I really don't hate him. I totally don't hate him and I was like, "Oh my God, what do I do?" Because I'm fully soaked. And now I'm like, "Oh my God."
You still have to teach.
I had to teach all day. And the kids were coming soon. So I'm like, when a kid pisses themselves in my classroom, I send them to the school nurse. And so I went to the school nurse, because she's trained in a very specific type of accident victim, like helping them. I go to her and she was like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, "What are we going to do?" So thank God I had a pair of jeans in the car for the gym I don't go to. Like I had the extra jeans, but I didn't have extra underwear. So we went through what she had, and it turns out that a husky boys 18 to 20 pair of Fruit of the Loom boxer briefs, in a pinch, they did the job. So they're surprisingly comfortable. Nice. But I wound up wearing a pair of little kid boy underwear all day.
Now you won't go back.
And actually,
Why not?
Not gonna. So in the beginning of the day, I felt really supported, and I was like, "Ooh," right? I kind of, that's actually, now throughout the day, I felt like I had to keep tugging them up. That was and I was like, "I wonder if this is what it's like."
You were missing something.
Because in the beginning of the day, I felt like everything was kind of like being hugged in there, and and then throughout the day, I was like having to yank the waistband up.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Saw the underwear, and
because I ran right.
Well, you're still wearing them, right?
I was that same night. No, not today, but
she stayed with that thing on all the way.
Well, Well, I had to run. I ran straight there, and I tell the joke, and you were like, "Nah," and I did the little, and you were like, "Whoa, yeah, the Fruit of the Loom."
Yeah,
talking about.
Hey, and you market. You never know. You started a trend here. Yeah.
When you walked into the nurse's office, were you like, I had an accident?
I
Like, you
did.
have to do it just so
I
she.
was like,
I know that's always tough.
Steve
Yeah.
scared me.
And the
She was
nurse
like,
didn't say, sorry, you're like decades too late for me to help you.
Oh,
It's like-
she looked at me like, ooh. And then we're trying to do the conversion between like my size to kid size. And yeah, it's just funny. We're trying to math it out. We're just looking at the shelf of all the
Uh-huh.
underpants. Yeah, it's so funny.
That is funny. Well, hey, I'm glad you solved the problem. Yeah, that can happen. See, that's one good reason why mature women usually stay away from jumpsuits and overalls.
Exactly.
Because that's flexing it, man.
That
It's
is.
like,
Yeah.
I really have a good bladder.
Well, jumping period.
Not only do
Yeah.
I look young enough, but my bladder is like a 20-year-old.
What a weird flex.
What a weird flex.
I like it.
It's a flex for middle-aged
Apparently, I have the
Yeah, I
bladder
like
of
it.
like a 100-year-old. I don't even.
Well, you got scared.
That's
Someone jumped out and scared you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very I
Thank
don't
you.
I don't even mess around with that.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate your support. That just.
Yeah, you gotta train yourself for that, you know.
I think they call
Train
it.
yourself. Guys, I'm at any moment ready to be scared by a man jumping out of the corner.
Yeah.
So don't worry
It's
about
like,
me.
I think they call it situational awareness, which I lack. So, yeah.
Well, he surprised you. I don't
He
know.
jumped out of
Situational.
a dark
awareness.
classroom. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
How are you gonna get him back?
I want to more than anything, and I haven't come up with an idea.
I know. He
Like,
really upped the game there.
he did. He took it to
Yeah.
another level. And then what later in the day he did was I have a supply closet at the back of my classroom. He went into there after lunch. He thought he went in my closet and tried to get me a second time.
Oh man.
And I was like,
And
"What do
you're
you-
like, well, you know.
what do you mean?" Like then it just became like bullying. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like at first it was funny. And then when he realized he made me pee, I think he was like,
Oh,
I don't
he's
know why I
liking
tried to
that
give-
too much.
he
Did
really
you tell him I'm all peed out? You won't get anything out
I
of me.
mean, I had thankfully I had just emptied before I came back from
Yeah.
lunch. So
And to our listeners, so sorry. It turned out into a pee. Yeah, this is so. But hey, you know, we all do it, right?
I
You know,
do
it's-
need to get him back.
We
though.
all have to manage that.
And I haven't thought of anything really great. That's I'm mad at myself
Yeah.
because it's important and I haven't come up with it yet. So
Wait, I'm sorry. What are you mad at yourself about?
because I can't come up with anything as good. Like I need to get
Oh, for him to get him back. Sorry.
Uh-huh,
Oh, you know,
uh-huh.
You will. You will.
yeah.
You will. You will.
you got the
See,
bit.
Yeah.
You got the bit out of it. There
And
you
a
go.
bit, but I think
Make fun of him in the bit.
I think he's like, hey, now I'm interact. Like I think that like was a reward.
I think you just need
You
to start.
will.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
if more time passes, it will be a real surprise. If you do it too soon, he'll be on his guard, maybe.
Actually, that's the best kind
Yeah.
of revenge, right?
Is he
So,
married, single?
He's married.
All right.
Yeah.
We got something. we
I'm
can
friends
do.
with his wife. Maybe I could.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh.
Planning. I
Oh,
like
yeah.
this. We'll
Yeah.
come back. We'll do
Yeah.
a brainstorm and come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. My kid used to have a trampoline. Well, we got him a trampoline that he rarely used. And sometimes I would jump on, the trampoline with him. And I was like, oh. I'm holding it here. No. I better not do this anymore. It can happen. It doesn't take that much. Yeah. It doesn't take that much. It can happen. And I remember my doctor said, your first kid will do it. Even if you have like 3 or 4, it was the first one.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, okay, well, all worth it, whatever. But for those of you who are on the fence, that's one thing. So, yeah, it's interesting how daily life is the best source of material.
Oh, absolutely.
Really, for me, I have to say that years ago, before I decided to do comedy, I was very fit. I was, very diligent with exercise, etc. And I wore this very, very form-fitting red dress, and I loved it. But I was not happy with how it looked in the back because, well, some people have some butts, some of us don't. And I really like how I looked in this dress.
Mhm.
So I took a picture of me. This is before all the apps and before iPhones and all that stuff. And I took it to a Ritz camera. And I told the person what I wanted, Photoshop to make it, Oh, no, wait. I told the story wrong. Because what I didn't want, I have a little bit of a belly because that's the last thing to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was fit. I was fine. But, we all want to be
So
perfect.
true, though. I mean, you could drink a glass of water and still.
Yeah.
Like,
and I guess I thought, well, the
Yeah.
back is, I'm flat, but I can live with that and whatever. And maybe I was thinking aloud. And I took the picture to his Ritz camera. And the guy said, sure, I can do that for you. And when the picture came back to me, the guy had a big smile. A big, big smile. And I'm like, what? And he said, oh, you'll really like this. But he was smiling a bit too much. And I'm like, I think he had too much of a good time.
Yeah.
What? When I saw the photo, he had given me like an enormous butt. The change that I wanted, he didn't do it. He said, no, you don't need that. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy, I'm paying him to do something. And now he feels that he can, add his 2 cents.
Well,
like, no, let me tell you what you need. You don't need that. You need the butt. And so he added a big butt. And there I was at the Ritz camera with the photo and the thing, because this is before it, you know. And people at the shop and all that. And here I am saying, no, but I didn't want this butt. And people are like, wait, she said butt. Let me drop what I'm doing here. I'm just doing like my kid's soccer game. This is a lot juicier. I mean, listen. And everybody was listening. The guy smiling and a lot of the guys smiling. And I was like, this is too much butt. And then this lady was like, said no one ever. And I'm like, no, come on. It's too much butt. So that's something that really happened. Mm-hmm. And it was very funny, embarrassing, ridiculous. And I was like, I can't believe this is happening to me.
Right.
But I guess this is what happens when you bring a picture and I don't know. Anyway, I told him I don't want this picture. He's like, no, I'm not going to charge you.
Well, because he was keeping it for himself.
He enjoyed it too much. And he probably has.
Of course he's
So I'm somewhere.
Yeah.
Who knows? He's maybe he turned it into a poster. I could be in some,
Did you sign it for him or anything?
I don't know. I could be like, maybe he turned it into a poster and I could be inside the body shop of some, garage or some mechanic's place. Like,
I thought I recognized you.
You see? Yeah. And at first I was like so embarrassing. Oh my God. And now I'm like, good. At least somebody saw me, looking slim with a big butt. But hey,
the one time I saw one of those pictures in a body shop, it had what looked like a very shiny surface. Mm-hmm. And that was because the woman's clothing were on a sheet of clear acetate and you could lift it up and she was nude underneath. So, I mean, I'm just saying, so if he put you up in your dress, that's a compliment.
Yeah, I still have the dress because I just look great in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And before I fractured my ankle. But anyway, yeah. And I wrote about it actually on a piece that was published in this website called Medium. I guess it's like a blog. I don't know. They have like different Substacks, like Muddium and that kind of thing. So I wrote about it there. And the red dress, my gosh. Yeah, that was some ridiculous stuff, really. Yeah, I guess that guy really liked his job, or at least that day.
That day, yeah. I think he made his day, that job, you know.
Yeah. So when you get an idea for comedy, what do? You write it down? Do you record it?
Now I know to write it down. Like there have been things that just have naturally evolved, like in the course of a regular conversation where just something funny is said, or it's there'd be times I'd even be like doing like the catch up on life phone call with my parents.
Right.
And, I would just be telling them about, whatever. And they would laugh at something that I wasn't intending to be saying in a funny way.
Right.
And I'd be like, they're like, that's funny. I'm like, is it? Okay, I'll write it down and I'll try that. Yeah. And then it turned, if it makes somebody else laugh, I'm like, okay, all right, because they're going to be a little biased, they're my parents. Right. So it's, that kind of stuff. I think like just the conversational stuff that like you don't realize you're being funny or
Right. Yeah.
you know.
And sometimes it's not ready to be used right away. Like the red
Yeah.
dress thing that happened
Yeah.
over, 10 years ago. And I was not ready. I mean, at the time I was not a comedian. But now I'm ready to kind of refine it and see how I can turn it into a bit.
Oh, definitely.
So a lot of things that may turn out wrong, really at least
You
give
get
us
that
material.
out. Oh,
you know?
100%.
Yeah, because the more ridiculous, more preposterous it is, the better it is for comedy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really important to record it, whether it is writing it down or just note to self, or sending a voice memo or whatever it is that people use so that you don't forget. Yeah, which is also why it's good to film
Oh, yeah.
our sets,
Absolutely.
because you never know what happened there that made things funny, and you thought, oh well, maybe it was a joke, maybe it was something that happened during the show.
I mean,
so many bar shows that we do at this stage where we are, and I call them comedy by ambush, because many times they don't, oh, I didn't know that I'm in a comedy show. They're thinking I'm here talking to my friends after work or whatever. And so they want to talk. And many times they have their back to you or whatever.
Yep.
And they're like, oh no, and here comes this comedian. You really have to win them over for them to stop talking. And it's those are tough, man, because they really want to talk. And I understand it. But there's comedy happening. I'm like, well, there has to be someone in this bar that's like tired of looking at the bubbles in their beer.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
It's tough. I mean, even as like during my day job, because I'm an elementary school teacher by day. And when I start class, I make it clear, what's going on. We start the first 5 minutes of every class the same way. I gather all the kids together to give a demonstration, go over directions real quick. And even though the kids know that for that 5 minutes, I need their attention because this is what we're doing today. They'll try to talk over me. They'll fool around with each other. They'll be super distracted. So they'll pull out Pokemon cards, so whatever. And I'm like, hey, and then I'm flipping the lights or clapping some stupid signal for them to clap back, or, using like choral response things. Like when I count to 3, point to me, I'll cry, like just all that kind of nonsense. And my kids are little though, and they need to be taught how to be, I don't want to say an audience necessarily, but when someone's speaking to you out of respect, you're supposed to be looking at them and listening. And it's just social skills. And it is frustrating, especially when you throw alcohol in the situation, right? We're in a bar. Yeah. You get that guy, those people who are really loud or cackly or whatever, and they're just there to unwind and let off their steam from the week. Yeah. And here I am asking adults to get quiet, and it's, it's frustrating. Yeah. When you're in a real show though, like I don't want to say real show versus bar show, but if you're in a place where, people are seated in rows of chairs and you're on an actual little stage
where the expectation is that you're going to see comedy.
Yeah. You definitely get a better behaved audience for the most part. But in a bar, they just see you standing there with a microphone and you're competing with a lot.
Yeah. Where here's the thing that I did. And I don't know if I would have done it before, but I decided why not. I'm trying to also work on my sets in Spanish, and I don't get that many chances to run my set in Spanish around Philadelphia. So I had to take my dog's beds to the laundromat. And I did. And I thought, you know what? Most people here speak Spanish, so I'm going to do my set here. And I told them what I was going to do. And at first, the manager was like, what? Is this person going to do something religious? What the heck? Some solicitation. And I said, no, I'm just going to say stuff. Yeah. And you laugh if you feel like laughing. And if you don't, So there you go. People are there like with their arms looking at their phone, whatever. I got some reaction because people, were in a situation where they could pay attention and they understood what I was saying. So that worked. And I thought, okay, well, I guess it wasn't a total waste of time bringing these beds through the laundry.
Yeah, no, that actually sounds
they're
nice.
enormous. That's why
I've had people try to change my religion while I'm on the subway.
Yeah.
I mean, but like being entertained at a laundromat, I think that'd be fun. Like, I don't know. I would, if I have a short joke in my head, if I walk into the faculty room at school and I see somebody putting something in the microwave for 2 minutes, I'm like, I'm not keeping that person from working if I just use these next 2 minutes to try this.
Wow, tough.
And I know that they can't leave. They're not going to walk away. Well, they're not walking away from, reheating their lunch, right? So I go and I see what happens.
Yeah.
So
you're reheating your fish.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, now you have to listen to me.
Yeah, there you go.
You have to listen to me. And
now that they know what I'm doing, it's their.
Yeah, but I mean, you're like, I'll tell everyone that you were reheating fish.
In this tiny room with no windows. Yes.
No, really, it's interesting when you can make people turn away from whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And connect, make them laugh. It's not just because we comedians love attention, because that's the reality, but also we like to connect.
Absolutely.
And it's fun when you make people laugh, when you don't know them from Adam, when they're very different from you.
Yeah.
And you can laugh together. That's really fun.
Well, it's all about the things we all share in the human experience that, when something happens to you and you find that, by talking about it in a room full of people and they're laughing, you're like, oh, wait, it's really, I think that's one of my favorite things about comedy is that we all have things that, we think make us different or whatever, but once we're all laughing together about the same things, I think that is, we need more of that, and and it is that day-to-day stuff, that day-to-day human experience stuff that there is a lot of funny in that, and I think we take so many things so seriously, and that's the stuff that we let divide us. But I think it's the funny stuff. We're seeing it in the right funny way.
I also brings people together. I like to see a lineup of comedians that are so different from one another.
Yes.
You don't expect this. And I've seen audience that are like, what? Oh, this is interesting. Here's this kid that's like a junior in high school, whatever. And here's this lady that is could be his grandma, And they're in the same lineup and they're taking pictures. It's like comedy unites
I love
them,
that. Yeah.
And I think it's of course, I'm so envious of that young person that discovered that passion. They got to bloom, on time. Actually, they were premature bloomers, just like the the hostas, that get confused in spring because we get snow here, and sometimes we have a couple of days of warmth, and then plants get confused and they pop up, and I'm like, no, not yet. No.
I had an experience with wearing wet bloomers earlier this week. So
there you go.
So there's early bloomers, there's on time bloomers.
Yeah.
Dry bloomers are my favorite.
Yeah. Well, those actual bloomers, bloomers that you wore, I think they were pretty on time because it's the kind of thing that happens to us. It happens to people.
Yeah. So what I've learned is, laughing about those things that connect us all is pretty awesome. Except if it's Neil's fuck hip joke. Apparently I think that's hysterical and it's made now 2 people mad. So but I will, you know what? I will stand by that joke. I will for always. Cause it's one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
Just the phrase sounds pretty
I love
funny.
it. I love everything about it. And, you're either on the fuck hip team or you're not. So
yeah.
I feel like talking about this, there is no way that she was offended from you can be offended from anything. I get it. But I'm not talking about her. I'm not talking about anybody around her. I'm talking about my own mother.
Exactly.
I'm not demonizing it at all.
No.
I don't know what I
wonder if she thought maybe that you were making fun of that.
Booze will make people hear what they want to hear.
That's so true.
I don't know.
Alcohol makes it.
Yeah.
So. And oftentimes people don't listen to the whole bit. And so they listen to one part like, wait a minute,
Yeah, that's it. I mean, she definitely was drinking.
Yeah. You know, if you get 51% of the room, you're doing your job. I think one person walking out, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
You know, like the joke that I usually start with, excuse me, you know, I say that I don't want to tell the joke now, but people say, "Oh, so you're Puerto Rican?" And I say, "Well, and immediately I know they were not listening. They didn't get the joke. So I'm like, okay, why did you laugh? You know, I want to stop. Actually, I have asked people, did you laugh because of people around you? Because that's important. Why do people laugh when they're in the audience? Because people around them were laughing?
I think laughter is contagious. I do.
Well, I think it's more like if I don't laugh, then they will think or they will find out that I didn't get the joke. Many times I think they were not paying attention. So I'm going to have to quiz them afterwards. And I've said it, you know, I'm going to quiz people afterwards to see if they got where I'm from. Kind of, you know, it's a little questionnaire about the comedians and that'll be on the test.
That joke of yours though always does so well though. Consistently wherever you've told that joke and whoever else is in the room with us. Cause like we've played shows with, you know, really very different audiences. Yeah. You know, we played at that. I've seen you do that joke at Soul Joel's. I've seen you do it I think it Tuned Up, and also at that restaurant. It wasn't Ethiopian food. It was Tracian or
it was Eritrean.
Eritrean, and I will not be able to pronounce that the next time I bring it up either. But you know that no matter where I've seen you tell that joke, it always goes over super well.
Yeah, so. Yeah, and when I've told it in other parts of the country, it worked well. It works well in Spanish too.
There you go.
So well, it works well in Spanish where people actually know that it's common for when I talk to people that don't know me, is the first thing is, okay, so where are you from? What are you? What they want to ask is, what are you? You know, but they don't, you know, it doesn't sound too, when I don't mind, you know, what are you? So I had to start with that. Because, you know, there's this discussion about, you know, whether comedy should be about your authentic self or about what's funny, even if I don't know anything about you. Because for instance, I don't necessarily want to know everything about comedians. I want to hear funny stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but other people really want to connect in that way, you know, like really find out, you know, who you are and you know how unique one makes you unique.
Well, and the more autobiographical our content is, the less like, for one, I feel like the more relatable we become to the audience, the more autobiographical we are, and then also the less general you sound, where like just anybody could be walking up there telling that joke.
That's like anybody.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's hard to.
If it's autobiographical,
somebody would not
joke.
Take your joke. Because, you know, it's
nobody's going to steal a joke about something super very specific to you. Right? It's like way less stealable, I suppose.
I don't know. I was talking to, I forget who I was talking to. A group of fellow comedians after a show, and they said, well, I don't know if they mentioned Seinfeld. Maybe it was Seinfeld that he doesn't really talk about himself, but more about observation.
Right.
And I was like, well, yes, but it's funny still. Right. I mean, I like it. You know, I you know, and it's one of the many comedians that I like, and it's funny. I don't need to know his life, but others are very much about their lives.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's funny too.
Oh, yeah.
Also, so it's not one or the other. It's a constant learning process, comedy. In both, if you consume comedy, you also kind of find what you like more. And that's interesting too, because we want to connect with everybody as comedians. And as late bloomers, especially because we do not have much time, people. You know, this is a sprint because
TikTok.
Our competitors are a lot younger. But it's fun. It's fun. The journey is what the journey. We're enjoying the journey.
Absolutely,
we really are. And it's fun. It's rewarding. Not as far as money. I mean, you have to get really, really famous for it to really make sense financially. But it's fun. It's something that really. You get hooked on
it.
Yeah.
And my kids finally think there's like something I'm doing that's cool. So that's fun. I've earned a little cred with my kids. So
yeah, you get your kids.
That's fun.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like I've done other things that I think have a value, but they're, like, I don't have a grad school degree. I own a house. Same job for 25 years. But once my kids saw some footage of me telling like dick jokes in a bar. That's my mom. Like it was like, I was like, hey, better late than never. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I'll take it.
They don't appreciate that now. Later on when they'll be in their own.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah. My kid the same way. Same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, it's that stayed with me.
Yeah.
When he said, Mom, I really think you're funny. At first I was like, I don't know. Is she doing this because she has no shame? No. Is she doing this because she'll do whatever she wants to do? No, I think you're funny. Yeah, I think you're funny. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Yeah.
We'll be right back.
I have friends who've told me, I am not surprised because I remember how you consumed SNL and we were too young for that stuff. And you were watching it and staying up late and sneaking around to watch SNL and all that, every single, thing that had to do with comedy, you consume it, South Park, even though it's not my style of humor because I'm cleanish. I mean, I like all kinds of humor, South Park, Family Guy, all that, I own all the seasons I like. My kid didn't, now he discovered them. He's like, oh, and I'm like, no, I don't feel comfortable watching them with you. You can watch them, but not with me. His friends have also been seen my shows and actually they told me, oh, I really had a good time and I think you're funny before my kid did. And so I'm like, I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Oh my gosh, my kids had friends over the one day and they were like, no, that's my mom's pickle Rick magnet on the tour. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course it is. Yeah, no, I'm into all kinds of funny stuff too. And when I was a kid, I used to miss the bus on purpose because then if my dad was dropping me off on his way to work, the Howard Stern show would be on. Oh, yeah. And I would always, that would be my chance to hear that kind of humor. And, I'm sure a lot of it was over my head, but
this makes sense.
Loved it.
Okay. This makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah. I like that. That's people who've been exposed to Howard Stern too early. There's a certain thing. I get it. I was there.
There's a certain thing. Yeah, there is.
Anyway, I was at Wegmans and they were playing that song, You're So Vain.
Oh, yeah. Carly Simon.
Yeah. And there was this couple in front of me and they were fighting. They were like arguing, but quietly because we were in a public place. And then the woman started singing the song and she said, you're so lame. And she would look at him and the cashier was laughing and I was laughing. And so that was kind of a silly moment. And we were just buying, whatever. I think I had COVID tests or whatever, something stupid. Or has it happened to you that you're buying something and then you're concerned that the cashier will judge you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I bought this. I was buying these 2 zucchinis and I thought I better buy something.
A jar of marinara sauce or something.
Because then, and I was like, wait a minute, why am I concerned about this? But then I thought, oh my God, this is what happens when you're a comedian or whatever you're thinking about.
You look at everything that way.
Yeah. The little details of life and how you can kind of make them funny, making something funny.
Yeah.
Which is, that's also the writing and the delivery and all that stuff. That's the challenge that we really enjoy. And when people laugh, that's of course the best payoff. And the money is great too. But the laughter, which is why we're doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that with kids, you have a lot.
Oh my gosh. Well, even my kids at school say some really hilarious things. They don't even know they're funny. But even my own, some of I mean, I've even said some things on stage that my kids have said to me, and they're not jokes that I wrote. They're things that happen, like when, I had gone through a divorce and then some disappointment, attempting to date, and my 22-year-old at the time, I think she was like 16. She said, "Mom, you're not gonna die alone." Because I really want to come watch. And like, when she said it like that, I was like, oh my God. And like, I died laughing, and I tell that joke.
It was a dark joke.
It's a dark, well, it divides the room. I'll tell you what, it's a very polarizing joke. People who have teenage daughters laugh like hell, right?
Yeah.
People who don't have teenage daughters, like, like they kind of.
Like, maybe don't say that if you're ever hired, like in a nursing or, for some older audience.
Right.
Maybe don't
assisted
say that
living center. Maybe
it's hitting.
Maybe not tell any jokes about death at the assisted living center, but maybe the one about pee. Maybe that's more relatable.
There you go.
Maybe that's the
Yeah.
commonality. That
millennials will be like, oh no, and Gen Z, no, what the hell? Yeah. It's funny. I mean, pee and poo, it's always funny. That's universally funny, but it's it's not, not necessarily relatable.
And the other thing that just came out of natural kind of conversation was during COVID, I did have a high school boyfriend, a guy I dated in high school. He's not currently in high school.
Oh my God. Yes.
I'm a teacher, but I'm not like a Florida teacher. But he, this guy, my same age at the time, I was, in my whatever mid 40s, it was during COVID, and this guy comes out of the woodwork. Mm-hmm. And I noticed he had started like leaving a trail of like just liking stuff on Facebook that I was posting all of a sudden. I'm like, And then he slides into the DMs. And he's like, "How you doing?" I'm like, crazy, isn't it? Yeah. And then he said, "Hey, do you think you could still have kids?" And I'm like, maybe, but like no kids you'd want, and like, but I just said that as my natural response to that question because of how old I am. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine that kid I would have at my age? Are you for real? So my parents were asking me like, "Hey, what's new?" I was like, "Oh, do you remember?" And I bring them up, with my mom and dad, and they're like, "No way, you heard from him." And then I told them about the conversation, and my mom busted a gut laughing over the no kids you would want. She's like, "That is hilarious." And then she went on and she told my aunt the story. My aunt's laughing. They're like, "Oh my gosh, Karen, you're so funny. You should try being a comedian." And I'm like, I wasn't trying to be funny. I was just like responding to like a crazy question, but like they found it funny. So again, like kind of like what Neil said about like when you try to like sometimes when he's trying to write, he doesn't feel like his family thinks he's as funny as like just when it naturally comes out.
Yeah.
I have that experience too, I feel, where sometimes if I'm writing, it feels kind of forced. So sometimes I'll do like a combination of remembering to stop and write down something that somebody else told me was funny, but then I'll try to write punches or write something else to connect to it.
Right.
To kind of construct something with it,
Yeah. It's more to get you thinking about. Yeah. It's like, I have notebooks of things that, I write about a subject and then nothing happens. And sometimes something happens. And it's kind of like that, because we are mining, miners don't find gold right away. Have to go through a lot of chaff.
Sift.
Yeah. A lot of,
the sluice.
I know.
You got to.
Yeah.
And a lot of panning. A lot of open micing, a lot of open mic panning. Just that's the sluice of you're just trying to.
Well, that's the weirdest thing, open mic. Yeah. Because oftentimes it's just comedians in the audience. Yeah. And they're all in they're thinking about their own set and posturing and, some things that we observe. Oh, yeah. Because especially among young men, that kind of, I'm cool. That kind of thing, which is, it's funny to observe, I mean, that I just laugh at that, just observing the peacocking and the,
you see a lot.
I like it when
hilarious. I like it when the impromptu roasts break out. Yeah. That's like probably my favorite time.
Well, that's wonderful.
I love that. And I wish I could be more like that on the fly.
Me too. It's a skill. Some people are natural roasters.
Oh my gosh, I admire that so much.
Yeah,
like that. Oh yeah,
yeah. I want to get better at that.
I love watching that. I laugh the hardest at that kind of like the way somebody riffs on something that just happened, and then like kind of the set and spike. I'm like, oh my god, like I love it.
Or nothing that I have identified as funny. I have to kind of go back and
What'd you do?
My notes. Well, I went to a skateboarding park, and I went alone, which is a weird thing because what is this woman doing here?
Yeah. Any of these your kids? No.
No. Or going to
who's asking?
Yeah. What is it to you? What the hell? You know? Or going to a dog park and just sitting there. And where's your dog? I don't have one.
See, you can get away with that one. The skate park.
That one is kind of because there's a bench. But
dog park, if you have meat in your pockets and no dog, you know,
that's
right.
We have a problem.
Right, there you go.
Well, I went and I just kind of liked the atmosphere, and I didn't go thinking that it would be weird. Yeah. But it was a person when somebody started talking to me, and when I said no, I don't have a dog. I'm just here, and they were weirded out, and I'm like, oh, I'm being weird. I am being weird in Vancouver. Yeah. Well, it was, yeah. I'm like, I have dogs at home. I'm like, don't feel weirded out. I can show you pictures of my dogs. I have to really.
Oh, they're so cute.
Yeah.
I love your dogs. I had an experience. I put myself in a situation for a new experience, not intentionally, and it was before I was even a comic, but I think the story that I was able to glean from the crazy experience, it's why I went to my first ever open mic and I told it. And that's what got me rolling. So I think it would be a good thing for me to keep doing that kind of stuff, just, to come up with more material. Like, so right after a breakup, I had before the breakup, I had signed up my previous companion and myself for a couples glass blowing class. Mm-hmm. And after the breakup, I decided to go on my own. And, when I arrived, it's, all these couples that are leaving and, it was this cute place and everyone's like, oh, you're going to love it. I'm like, oh, thanks. And the place was run by this adorable little husband and wife in the woods, it's a little glass blowing studio. It's all magical and cute. And the guy comes out to be my, my teacher, and he's chubby. He's got the beard. He looks like Santa. And he's like, hey, you're making a vase today. Where's the guy? Where's the guy to put flowers in your vase? And I'm like, I'm putting flowers in my own vase, just like, good on you, kiddo, good on you. And I explained that, hey, I'm here by myself and hopefully that's fine. He's like, oh, hell yeah, let's go. And I've raised he's telling me about the 2 strong daughters he raised and his granddaughters that he's got now. And he points to his Rosie the Riveter poster on the wall in the studio and how much he supports strong women and, and the whole time super nurturing, a lot of atta girls. I'm doing this awesome job. And I'm like, I felt it was like a really healing experience. Cause like the breakup really banged me up bad. Like I had gone into therapy. I was going to a Reiki. I'm doing all the weird crap. I'm wearing the bracelets. Like I could not feel nothing I was doing was helping me feel better. But this class, I'm feeling awesome. Like I'm having the best time and the vase is beautiful and I'm super excited. So then I go to leave and, we're admiring the vase and he's telling me how I have to come back in 3 days to get it from the annealer. So you can't just leave with it and never go back. Like you got to go back. So then I settle up with him and I'm looking at his cute business cards with him and his wife on them and on the counter. And I'm thinking, I feel better. Like, you know what? The right person for me is out there, just like these two have each other. Cause like, look at this beautiful, magical place that they share. Mm-hmm. And like, I'm feeling good. Like things happen for a reason. Like I needed to see this. I needed to have this day. And I felt awesome. And just as I was about to leave, he ran over and he puts his arm across the doorway and he goes, wait, I can't let you leave without putting this out there. You're a beautiful and strong woman. And I'm like, oh, like, because my dad says that stuff, and I'm like, he's a good dad. Like he was just, I felt good, This guy's about my dad's age and I'm vibing with him. Like, thank you. And I went to give him like a little half hug to be like, thank you. Oh. And he goes, and if you ever want your pussy licked, it's all I could think about the entire time you were here.
Whoa.
So then I nervous laugh like a hyena, and I'm like, ah, you got me. Like, because I'm pretending it had to be a joke. And I go running off into the parking lot. Of course, mine's the only car there. And he's chasing me.
Oh my God.
Me, puts his arm on the door of my car. Now he's crying. He's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've been in a weird place. I've been in a weird place. And I'm like, I'm in a weird place right now. I can't even get my fucking car. Like, I could not get out of there fast enough. But in the retelling of that story, I've been able to, like, everybody's like, oh my God, Karen, you got to make that a bit. You got to, and I've been able to connect it up to other jokes that I tell where, like, I tell my emergency contact jokes about how when you break up and, you don't just lose your boyfriend, you lose your emergency contact. Right. So then when he chases me to the car and says he's in a weird place, I'm like, in the joke, I finish it with, will you be my emergency contact? Like and then that's how I walk off stage. That's like, and that always lands a joke, like a laugh rather.
That's funny, but don't make them your emergency.
But I haven't deliberately put myself in a glass blowing glass situation again. But I think, going out to do something by yourself.
Yeah.
And having those genuine interactions with people where they're not being careful because somebody else is there, you're going to find more funny things happening, So,
Well, I went to one of those paint, night, like date night that paint your own, the painting thing, and my husband is a very talented painter. He could do more. He just doesn't have time. Yeah. And I keep telling him, this is for fun. This is for fun.
Yeah.
Oh no, he just can't. This is too simple for him. So he decided he just would not even do the whatever project that we were assigned. He did something completely different. And so that was very awkward when the person in charge comes and see that he painted something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, boring. He had bored. This is boring, whatever. And I'm like, please pretend. That's my thing. So that's why I go by myself to some activities, because you imagine he's not really with the program sometimes. Yeah. And I've been married for 26 years. So, So, it's fine. We do a lot of fun stuff, but sometimes he just is not into a lot of things that I might be into.
Mm.
And that's okay. That's okay. Because then I get, a lot of material out of those.
Oh, yeah.
Solo ventures into dog parks and skate parks and things like that. Pumpkin picking. Let's see. I used to do that with my kids. So, I think I could go again. It would be a totally different vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, we picked pumpkins. We got stung by bees. We do all those fall activities kind of, for so many years. I went to a pottery class with a friend, and it was very awkward because there was a man looking at us doing the pottery.
What the fuck? Just...
And I was like, oh no, is he casting us for like a remake of Ghost or who knows what? So,
did he get behind you and do the Patrick Swayze?
We were not being particularly appropriate with
your creations.
Yeah, it's very easy for things to kind of take a different shape.
Right.
It's unintended.
Yeah.
And, and then there are children around laughing because immediately they see what you're doing.
Those are gifted children.
Can I do that too? Yeah. No, you cannot. That's pretty teasy. Yeah. I felt bad because the mother looked at me like, you're corrupting my kiddos. I said, it's an accident. I just kept my hands there for too long. And it was a vase, not like a sausage. All that is... All those things can really lend themselves to a lot of. Sometimes
pottery making is dirty, like because when you not like pun like mud dirty,
kind of messy.
No, but the way you center clay, you're pulling it up, into a very phallic shape,
exactly,
and then you're digging your fingers into it, opening like, and you're making like an opening. So like at any different stage of the process, it's looking like somebody's stuff or somebody else's stuff. Like it's looking like everybody's bits, you know what I mean? Like it's looking like, I mean, I just said pussy, and I'm afraid to say penis and vagina. I don't know what's wrong with me, but at one point in the pottery process, it looks like a penis.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you start putting your fingers in it and opening it up, then it's like the way the doctor stretches you out to help your baby come out. You know what I mean? Like, and it's dirty. It looks dirty. And your hands are wet, and it's a lot.
The challenge is to
It's
make it look like it's not dirty. Yes, that's the thing. To make it look like, see, I could put like, I don't know, like apples here or flowers and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you've done a lot of pottery. I mean, being an art teacher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a technique where you teach the kids how to pull a handle, like to make like if they're putting a handle on a project, where you take the clay and then you have to keep wetting your hands and like pulling it.
Yeah.
And it is the way that it's done. You can watch any pottery show on TV and that will back me up. But it just feels wrong. And there's just like those couple of kids who are like, and I'm like, like
we can draw some lessons here. Pay attention. Always be mindful of what's happening, because it could be funny. It could create the funniest joke or bit. And that's another benefit of comedy. It made me be in the moment a lot more. Yeah.
And also I would think, like put that panning for gold reference back in there. Like, you want to have it filled so that you can sift for something. And like what we were talking about earlier, like when Neil prompted us, that idea of putting yourself into a new situation outside of your comfort zone. That's
always,
that's going to be a really surefire way to keep from something just getting a little too like taken for granted. Like you don't want like daily life can kind of become wallpaper where you don't notice anything. So you do kind of need to put yourself in a situation where your situational awareness is a bit heightened, where you're taking it in, you're having new, you're seeing something new, or you're in a new place or a new experience, new people.
Getting out of the comfort zone. That's important. For a comedian, the more experiences you have, the better for comedy.
Oh yeah.
And that's part of the fun. It's part of. So should we talk about upcoming things, or
why don't you guys give some plugs and
okay. So what I'll let Karen talk about the.
So I'm wearing my Soul Joel's shirt today. We've got there's some fun stuff happening at the end of December. I'm really excited. Sandra and I are going to be on Steve Rinaldi's 7 for 7 on the 28th.
That's right.
Which is always a crazy fun time.
That's at Soul Joel's.
At Soul Joel's, 7 o'clock, $7, 7 comedians. You can't beat it. So, tell your friends in Pottstown at the Sunnybrook Ballroom. Yeah. So I love that place.
Yes.
Get there to that. On the 22nd, I'm doing the late night, the Nasty Show. So I'm glad I got to practice cursing a little bit today. That's late at night. I think that's at 9:30 at night. And the 27th, I'll be hosting for Missy G. Hall and Tata Charisse, who are in town.
Okay,
so I worked with them once before, and I'm really excited I get to do that again. So I'm pretty pumped.
On the 15th, I'm going to be at Comedy Cabaret, and I have some other shows in Spanish. So I don't have the dates yet, but they are in Spanish. So hit me up in my socials, and I'll be posting more on that. My Instagram, which is at SandraDossComedy, and on Facebook, Sandra M. Doss. And that's all the socials I can handle now.
Yeah. So Sandra, real quick, the Comedy Cabaret location you'll be at on the 15th.
Oh, it's in it's upstairs from the restaurant.
Oh,
Poco's.
the Doylestown one.
Yeah.
Doylestown above Poco's.
Yeah.
Okay, because they do have more than one. So I just want to clarify that you'll be at that one. Okay.
Thank you. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I guess then we're wrapping up.
Awesome. Yeah. And
today.
I'm Karen Schwarz on Facebook, and on Instagram, I'm at SchwarzBollinger.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So I guess we'll see you on the next one.
Hi, I'm International Man of Mystery Dan DePriel, and I'm one of the weekday comics. My friend Dave and I get paid to do comedy, believe it or not. But we're not allowed to tell all the jokes we want to tell. That's why we started this podcast. Join us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. where we're going to talk about the news of the day and tell a couple of jokes that we just don't feel comfortable telling on stage. Hey, we don't have careers, so who gives a weekday comics? Our podcast, where we give you the big bags of trash we were born to be and aren't allowed on the shows they pay us to do.
This has been a Drop Tent Media production.